Hello everyone, in today's video, I'm just gonna explain I have added a new MCP server which will provide our RFP Analyzer agentic agent to access the external world with the web search capability with the help of a SERP API which actually provides the API through which a Google search engine can be accessed. So just a quick recap, in last part 3, the part 1 where we have added this a very first initial technical proposal generation where we have to just upload the RFP, then it will generate the the initial technical proposal. Then we have this deep down option where we have 4 different options to elaborate the proposed architecture, right? You can see here in a step 2, then we have a provide deeper comparison of the technology stack, meaning how many technology stack we can use to build a similar solution for the problem. Then we have a detailed elaboration on the cloud deployment strategy. And then we have this alternative technology if we want to add some more technology stack with it, right? So that is the second step. And the third step to just build or just add the effort estimation and the pricing. And the pricing comprise of 2 different costs. One is the development cost, basically the software development cost, and then the another one is the deployment cost if we have to deploy the same solution to the cloud sites, right? This is what we have done. But right now the problem with this is, this agentic AI is completely dependent upon the RFP context. But what we need to provide the capability of our agentic AI to, before it actually create the first technical proposal, it will access to the external system as well. First, it will try to understand all the terminology or the abbreviation, or the relevant industry outside the customer to just understand what kind of problem they are facing and just try to get the more context of the problem and just try to make a solution which is more future proof. So basically it is giving a larger context, along with the RFP. That is what the web search server is going to do. So before I just get into the implementation part, let me just quickly show you what I have done so far. Right, I have already executed, the first round. I can quickly show you on my server side. This is what the very first request which we have sent, right? And then we said that, okay, this is what the first version of the technical design document which we got for our RFP, which is a telemanagement, right? Here, if you just see, first is starting all the servers which we have, and now it is having a web search server as well, right? Then it just make the connection to the large language model and it's try to extract the data from the RFP, which is the input. The next thing is now it is searching for a web. So there are 3 requests which are being made to the web search depending upon what kind of content this RFP is having and where large language model thinks it has to make the communication to the external system. But before this feature, it was not happening and large language model was completely rely on whatever the information document the RFP is having along with what kind of intelligence, this large language model, which is Gemini 2.5 Pro was having. And based on that, it was providing a technical proposal. But now we have a larger context, more information, latest and the real-time information to build the technical proposal. And we're gonna understand how effective now my new technical proposal is once we have this web search server implemented. Right, rest of the logic is same because that's the only change which we have done in the first round of creation of the technical proposal. But rest of the proposal looks good. If in previous video as explained, if you really want to add the estimation, you should run all these 3 options like elaborate and a proposed architecture, the second one and the third one, and then you can just hit the estimation. So basically we have 5 different versions. I can quickly show you here. This is what the 5 version is, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Right, I can quickly show you because I have already explained everything to you, but this time let's quickly compare first 2. Okay, if I just compare this, let me just put it here and target and then quickly compare it and we can quickly see. Okay, so here if you just see, this is what the difference is which we already know, right? And I think this will not be more interesting for you guys. I think we should directly have we would modify probably. Even that won't give us a much interesting picture. I think the final proposal which will provide the more information. Right now we can see this is only the estimation which is related to the cost, like the development cost, how much it is going to cost. It is just giving us person day, but the cost is $500. As I mentioned, you have to change according to what you are costing to the customer. And then we have this cloud base. That is again, you have to just check what kind of resources you need, whether these resources are good enough or not. Right. Let's quickly analyze the final version from the PDF and see what kind of difference we have. Right. We have our executive summary, and what best we can do is, along with this, let me just open proposal from here. Yes, it's 56 KB, right? So this one is the previous one where we don't have a web search. This document outlines our high-level technical proposal in response to the request for this love, right? Robust scalability, agile delivery, comprehensive support. Now, if we just go to the latest one which we got, now we can see the executive summary has detailed a lot of information. Right, so this looks good. Now we have this Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission ABDM framework is provided as well, which was not, but it was there. Okay, proposed high level architecture. Let's check it out. Let's come here and see if we see some differences. Architecture principle. Okay, now we have architecture principle. Both components also we have. And municipal services. Okay, this really looks good. Earlier it was not that detailed. So we can see the difference now. Detailed data flow as well. So let's quickly see the detailed data flow. It's different. Because this is not going to make much difference. I think executive summary is the one where we can see the actual importance. And I think these will also be changed because now we will be having this initial version with more detail and more precise information as well. I think we really need to compare this very thoroughly to understand when we implemented a web search, what kind of additional information it has added. Right. So I think this networking, CI/CD pipeline, message queue, object storage, orchestration is pretty much similar. See some operations, financial proposal, cost, and everything. Okay, but now the point is we have this capability where we can use the web search as well, right? And that is what important feature to add. And probably once we add some more MCP server, I will just try to have a comparison as well to see what precise advantage we are getting. The one advantage is definitely it is getting the latest and the greatest information since it is making a web request. Here we can quickly see that it made 3 different requests, to the web search. Definitely it will find some abbreviations, ABDM, which we have seen. So these kind of thing, it has already implemented, right? So from that implementation perspective, it's very, very straightforward. It's pretty much like, first we have to write this web search server. I have already explained my previous video. If you really want to see, we can quickly just, I can quickly walk you through. We are using asynchronous HTTP here. That everything looks great. We are using a sub API through the environmental variable. This is just for the cleaning test. It just depends what kind of response you are getting, and accordingly, if you get some character which are not being decoded correctly, then we have to use this clean text method. But this is just a cleanup activity. But this is where the actual implementation is. So we are actually using HTTPS async client, and that is where we are using this get method, and we are just feeding in the sub API, and that is where we have given the prompt. So in parameter part, this is the important thing because we have to not only give the query, and this query will come from the MCP client, and MCP client will get this from the large language model thing method, and then we have to add the sub API key, and then we have to give a Python. Okay, this is just a source structure which sub API is. It is a simple get request, and we will get a response, and then we will check whether there is an exception or not. If not, then we will get this result, and then MCP will get the response back, and accordingly it will act. So it's very straightforward. All this is doing is just making our agentic AI more stronger to just access the real-time data, right? And apart from that, and we know that whenever we add a new MCP server, the important thing is we have to take care of that in my agent, right? So we have to add this to information, server information, information, but this is not the important part. The main important part is wherever this MCP server will come into the action, you have to change the prompt. And since we have added this into the initial prompt, we have to change the prompt so that my large language model knows where it has to use the web search, right? And this is where the difference is, right? Earlier, we were having engines document, formulate design, save markdown to file, and then PDF file, right? From normal. But now we have added this research enrich, and you can see we have three different activity which we are asking. What are those? Analyze the extract text data to identify the key entities, the client name, industry, and specific. That is what the difference we are seeing in the executive summary, where the abbreviation is being expanded. Use the web search tool to conduct a research on these entities. Perform at least 2 to 3 searches to build a context. Good search queries are. So we are just giving some example, like what is the primary business, key challenge in this particular sector, as I mentioned, pros and cons for the technology, right? The result of these searches are critical, must inform the content of design. So this is again, it's very, very subjective. You have to think what kind of information you want to, add when the initial analysis is happening to the agentic AI, and you can just keep enriching or enhancing this prompt accordingly, right? So that's the one change you have to add, meaning you have to just add this another stage of the level, for your large language model in the initial prompt. The other change which you have to make is to just give the signature along with the server name. Right, so here we have to pass the query. This is the same method which we have on a server side, because this is the method signature, where you have to fill in the query so that the SERP API parameters can be built, right? So now the rest of the stuff is same. We have not yet configured this web search to be utilized and get deep dive option, but I will just try to do some research on that. We'll see, how much valuable it would be if we just have the web search, implementation in a deep dive. So that is something which I will do in a future, right? So that's pretty much it from my side. And this video, we have added another the MCP server. The next one which I'm going to do is the memory server, which is definitely I'm expecting to increase the performance. The negative impact, I would like to see how it is going to impact the existing feature, because in the previous video, if you have been following along all my Agentic AI tutorials, we have observed that whenever the moment we have included more number of servers, especially the memory one, because it has to now goes into a very multiple loops to first figure it out whether we have to look for the information in memory and see if that information is there, then what next action has to be taken. If that information is not there, then whether it has to do a web search or it has to just stick to the initial analysis for the text of the RFP. So that is gonna be very interesting and challenging things to see how it behaves. So in next video, I will be just including this memory server and see how it behaves and what kind of performance improvement we see and what kind of effectiveness we get into our request for proposal. Basically the proposal, what we are trying to actually build. Right, so that's it from my side for this particular video. If you have any feedback or suggestion, or if you want me to include any other server which you feel would make this Agentic AI more effective, optimized, and more intelligent, feel free to put that in the comment section, and I would love to implement that new server. So as always, thanks for watching this. And one more request I have: if you really like my content or my videos, please give a thumbs up, hit the notification bell. Whenever there will be a new video published, then you will be notified accordingly. One more request: if you haven't subscribed for my channel, please subscribe for my channel as well. Again, thanks for watching this. Stay healthy, keep learning new things.